Hello and welcome to the video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at a couple of frames from an outfit called Atto FPV. Now Atto FPV is one that I've heard a little bit about, and I've got a couple of frames in to have a look at, and I want to kind of show you what they're like because they're pretty impressive. Now the reason we're getting these frames in is that we built this model a little while ago. We created this with a kit all-in-one flight controller. It's a flight controller with all the ESCs involved, little 1306 3100 kV motors on the outside, and we're spinning 4-inch props. Now the challenge with this little guy is that this will run easily 3S and even 4S capable. As you saw in that video, if you watched it, it's fine on 2S, but I do feel like there's an awful lot of power in the setup that I've got here if I can sort it out. So I need a frame that's going to allow me to put all that extra power down without breaking. The other thing that's frustrating me with this frame is on this little guy, I'm having to use one of these little all-in-one FPV setups. Now that's not fine, but I am worried that if I use any more power in a crash, I'm going to damage this little FPV antenna. And also the quality of the camera isn't great, and we've got some really cute little run-cam cameras that we'll look at in a week or two that would fit perfectly in a smaller frame. If I just show you how this arm's flexing on this frame, I don't know if that's... you can kind of pick that up, but it's fine on 2S, but I'm really worried about adding all that extra power. Now I've got some of these Atto frames in, been having a look at them, and they appear to be perfect. There's this Atto 130 that I'll show you quickly first of all, and then there's the Atto 165, which is almost identical size to this guy and is going to be perfect to transfer all the electronics from here onto it, upgrade onto 3S, get rid of these terrible JST connectors, go to XT30 or XT60 probably, and add full-sized FPV components as well. So let me just show you one of these frames. All this information that we're going to go through is actually at attofpv.com. You can have all the specs and bits and pieces in there. Spoke to the guys at Atto as well. I'm pretty impressed with their methodology. The way it works and the way it comes supplied is when you open the box, everything is laid out really nicely, and it even comes with things like a little XT30 connector. You have the frame top for the flight controller, you also have all the risers and all the spacers in there as well, and you even have these little motor spacers which, if you're using a larger flight controller, you can use to make sure that the props are proud. So they've really thought about it. So this is the main frame here, a really nice finish, about 3mm. It's a dead cat configuration, and then you have 3 different top plates that you get depending on what components you want to use and how you want to put it all together. Then you also get a little bag of bits, so we have some prop nuts, and we have the connectors and some spacers too. Now one of the things that I realised when I picked these up was how light this little bag of bits is. For those of you that have maybe built a frame like this before, this is usually quite a bit of weight. And when I picked it up, I thought, oh wow, particularly things like this screw is spectacularly light. And if I look on the specifications on the website, you can see why. All of the components in here, as well as the carbon fibre being a really nice quality, are either alloy or actually titanium. So some of these little screws, believe it or not, are actually titanium as well. So this should make a very nice robust little setup. The other thing that I think is really cute, let me get this out here, is a little M5 spanner. Really nice little set. It's one of those things when you open you go, ooh, that feels like quality. So that is a frame. That's the 130. I recommend you go and have a look at that. This would allow you to use either a smaller or a full-size flight controller with something like 3-inch props. And if you go and look on the website, you'll see some of the builds that some of the people have been doing with these frames, and they are insane, providing an awful lot of capability in a very small platform. Now we're not going to use the 130 ourselves because I just want to drop everything from this model here onto it. So the one we're going to use is slightly different. So the frame that we'll be using to upgrade that model is this thing here. This is a DC165. Again, designed to put a lot of power in a very small place, be very robust, and they haven't skimped again on all the bits and pieces. I'll just take the main frame part out here. There's the main frame. Let me show you what a nice fit this is. If I get my original back in, That's the one I've got now. And I'm not sure if you can see, but the motors, this is 165, it's a 5mm frame. It's slightly wider, but hopefully you can see that that is going to go onto that frame absolutely perfectly. The benefit is that I'm going to have an awful lot more room when everything's together. So again, the way it works, it's a 3mm bottom plate. Again, really nicely finished carbon fibre on this thing. No sharp edges, no burrs. Everything feels slightly chamfered or sanded down, just like I tend to do when I'm starting to build stuff, so that's going to save me time and effort. In the box, you get one of the really nice XT60 connectors. You get one of those little spanners as well. Do really like those. You get the risers and the other pieces. This one is all anodized blue. Let's take these out. These are little alloy standoffs. We've been playing with this frame, so you can see it's actually got some of the titanium bolts in the end. And then again, you have 3 plates for the top. Now, the thing with this plate is that it does mean that I can mount a full-size FPV transmitter, something like the new Tramp from Immersion RC would go in here quite nicely, and could get a full-size camera in here as well. Now, one of the things you might notice on here is the way that the ends of these arms are drilled out. There's a lovely strong thick arms. They are not flexing at all, but on the ends here you'll notice that there are spaces drilled out that will fit the really small motors like we're using here, the 1306 3100 kV motors. But you'll also notice that they're drilled out as well to support 1806 and 2205, 2206 size motors. So if you wanted to, and actually let me just put in a couple of inserts on here, on the Atto FPV website there are some insane builds using this frame, using 2205 motors that will provide amazing amount of thrust on 3S and 4S for these kind of frames. So although I've bought this frame to do this conversion with, I'm very tempted to buy another one and make a little crazy pocket quad that actually has all of the fun of a real size 250 racer in this slightly more compact frame, because I think this frame is going to take it. And looking at the websites and some of the builds that some of the other pilots have done, I'm pretty confident I can fit everything in. Now, the weight of this frame is really light. Again, this little bag of bits with all these titanium parts and pieces that are part of it is super duper light. This one's anodized all in blue. You can get the nylon locking nuts on this. We have the 3 top plates, just like the other one did, which kind of go on top depending on what kind of layout you've got. I do like the idea of having the multiple top plates, because if you did bend one, you could easily, unhook the components, pop them on the other top plate and stick them on. The weight of this thing is very light. It's only about 51 grams, and then you'd have to put your components on as well, so you don't have to worry about space. The way that the carbon is cut and the layout is nice too. You have the straps for the battery, you have the mount holes for the standard 30.5mm, and you have the mounting holes for smaller flight controllers as well. Those 4-inch props are just going to clear the frame. It's all been really nicely thought out. So I thought I'd just show you these guys. I'll put a link in the description if you want to go and have a look at them. But these are frames that have obviously been designed by somebody who has really thought about it and wants given maximum versatility and strength for those of us who are building. I'm definitely going to spend the next couple of nights transferring all my electronics across, but if you're interested in creating a smaller quad that has lots of rigidity and robustness, and that you could, if you really wanted to, actually fit 2205 motors to, definitely go and have a look at this one. This DC165 frame looks like it's going to be perfect for me to do all the things that I wanted to do with the electronics I have here. Thank you for taking the time to watch that video. We try and release at least 2 videos a week, usually a quick tip on a Tuesday and a more in-depth video on a Friday, and sometimes we manage to get a few more out as well. If you're interested in radio control, then the playlists are useful to have a look at. Anything that's called Introduction To is an organised set of videos that teach you from first principles about the subject that you're interested in. But we also have information about the majority of popular open source flight controllers, how to build quadcopters, fixed wing models, reviews, setups, unboxing, all kinds of things in here as well. So if you haven't already had a look at the playlist, then I'd recommend going and have a look through here to see if there's anything that takes your fancy. Finally, we do also provide updates through things like Twitter, Instagram, and also post all of our 3D designs on Thingiverse as well. So if you like what we're doing here on YouTube, have a look at those things and subscribe to us there, and you'll find out what we're up to in advance of the videos coming out here on the channel.